Welcome everybody to another one of my Wrestlemania 32 dream matches. This one is going to be Brock Lesnar versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think this match would be unbelievable. I don't see how anybody can argue me on this one. If you want to, go right ahead. This would have been a very, very great match for Wrestlemania 32. It would have been unbelievable. It really would have been. Brock Lesnar came into WWE in 2002. With Paul Heyman then also. He had a very, very fast rise to the top. He actually was supposed to have a qualifying match for the King of the Ring in 2002 with Stone Cold Steve Austin himself. Stone Cold did not want to do that match. He did not want to put over Brock Lesnar. It is the truth. That's the truth. Stone Cold walked out on that match in real life. It was not an angle. He really did. In one of the DVDs that Austin did later on, he owns up to that and, says that that was one of the mistakes that he made in his career. Brock Lesnar did win the King of the Ring that year in 2002. Brock Lesnar went on to face The Rock at SummerSlam 2002 for the WWE Championship. He defeats The Rock. That was a very, very partisan crowd leaning on the side of Brock Lesnar. They were chanting him very, very well. He was getting received like he was a babyface for years. I could see in that match, The Rock was very, very upset about that. I think that's one of the big reasons why The Rock ended up leaving WWE, aside from his movie career. Brock Lesnar, ended up main eventing WrestleMania 19 with Kurt Angle. That's one of the best matches you will ever see for professional wrestling. That was a good one. I advise anybody to check that one out. Brock Lesnar's last match in the WWE, before he came back in 2012, was against Goldberg at WrestleMania 20. And guess who was the special referee for that match? Stone Cold Steve Austin himself. The crowd was booing both guys. The crowd was booing to the point that they didn't even want to see this match happen. I think it had gotten leaked that both guys were leaving the company after that match. They don't care, get out of here. You're going to leave, you're going to leave. It was not a positive response at all for that match. They loved Austin in the match, and that was basically it. After Brock Lesnar left the WWE in 2004, he went to the UFC for around 8 years. He had a winning record of 5-3, 5 wins and 3 losses. He had 1 submission of the night. Obviously, everybody knows that UFC is not predetermined. Just putting that out there. Brock Lesnar comes back the night after WrestleMania 28. John Cena was cutting a promo, saying how he lost to The Rock, and, owning up to his loss, basically. He was calling out The Rock originally. Brock Lesnar's music hits. Everybody goes nuts. I'm sure internet wrestling fans already knew about all that. That's a totally different story. John Cena goes to shake his hand. Brock Lesnar extends his hand, twists it around, gives him a fucking F5. Entire complexion of the business changed right there. As far as with him and Cena in the main event picture at that time. That was a big thing to happen. It really was. Since Brock Lesnar came back to the WWE, he's had feuds with the likes of CM Punk, Triple H, The Undertaker. Obviously, he broke the streak. He defeats John Cena for the WWE Championship. In SummerSlam of 2014, he holds on to that title as a part-timer until WrestleMania 31, which was last year. He is a beast. He really is. Carved straight out of granite. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable as far as his regimen. It's unnatural. It's unreal. He really is a beast. Now, we have Stone Cold Steve Austin himself. Yes, the Rattlesnake. Anybody that does not know Stone Cold Steve Austin, not for nothing, should not even be watching this video. I don't see how you have never heard of him. I don't see how you have just not even ever heard that name. Even if you've never even seen him. You had to have at least heard that name at least once within the last 15 years, 20 years. I mean, the guy is just unbelievable. All the stuff he did, nobody even knew you could do for wrestling. Just put it like that. Stone Cold Steve Austin started in WCW. He was called Stunning Steve Austin back then. He ended up forming a tag team with Brian Pillman. They were called the Hollywood Blondes. You always envision him being a bald-head redneck. Well, back in WCW, he had luscious, long, blonde hair, okay? It's just crazy to watch that, you know what I mean? He ends up getting injured, and Eric Bischoff fires Stone Cold Steve Austin on the phone. Obviously, texting did not exist back then. It really affected him. Like, he got really upset about that. So he's talking on the phone with Paul Heyman, one of his close friends in the business. Paul Heyman was running ECW back then. He told Stone Cold Steve Austin to come out and just, cut some promos and just kind of like, get back in the groove of wrestling. He obviously did that. He goes to ECW. He just starts talking about all this stuff. They didn't let me climb the ladder of success in WCW as he's climbing a ladder in the ring in ECW. Like, he starts cutting these crazy promos. Like, you've never seen him cut promos like this. You punch a clock. You get your ham and cheese sandwich. You let some jackass yell at you for 9 hours. And then you come home to some hag. I'll never do that, man. Oh, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that promo. That was unbelievable, man. You know you were witnessing something special when you were watching these promos. He was like building up and brewing into this character. He just wasn't going to take no shit from anybody, you know what I mean? He comes in January of 1996 in the WWF as the ringmaster with Ted DiBiase. He was the $1 Million champion back then. So he was with Ted DiBiase when he originally started. And then he kind of dropped off that ringmaster thing and became Steve Austin, and then it slowly changed into Stone Cold Steve Austin. He had his feud with Bret Hart, late 96 and early 97. WrestleMania 13, that was the infamous double take of professional wrestling, of one heel to one babyface. They were pushing Bret Hart to be a heel at that time, and Stone Cold was supposed to originally be the heel. He was supposed to be the big heel at that time. But they just saw how people gravitated towards him. It was something that you could not stop. So they were like, you know what? We have to do this. And Bret Hart was the person to do it with. He did it very good. It was a story that you could never replicate again if you tried. I'm taking a line from CM Punk by saying that. It was the submission match at WrestleMania 13. Bret Hart has Stone Cold Steve Austin in the sharpshooter. Blood is pouring down Stone Cold's face. This is one of the craziest things that you will ever see for professional wrestling. Blood is pouring down his face, and he does not say I quit. He does not submit. He passes out before he said the words I quit. Obviously Bret Hart won that match. Everybody is like, they don't know what to think. They really don't. Like, this guy is fucking tough as nails, He would not give up. He'd rather pass out and risk his health than to submit. He was laid in a pool of his own blood. And what does Bret Hart do? He turns him over and starts kicking his leg. Everybody started booing Bret Hart. They were booing him out of that building, okay? Ken Shamrock pulls Bret Hart off of Stone Cold, and he almost gets into an altercation with him. Bret Hart doesn't do that. And everybody starts booing him. They start booing him out of the building. I'm telling you. When he did not fight Ken Shamrock, they started booing him out of the building. Bret Hart was the bad guy. That was the double turn. You'll never see another moment like that in wrestling. Stone Cold on his rise, he just starts raising hell, man. He just starts turning into this character that nobody ever thought you could be for a wrestler. Then he starts getting in the feud with McMahon himself, Vince McMahon. And it's just this whole thing, and it just keeps snowballing and snowballing until you just have this larger-than-life character for wrestling. Also went in a crazy direction in 2001 when he faced The Rock at WrestleMania 17. If you're a hardcore wrestling fan, you should know about this, okay? He fights The Rock. All of a sudden, it turns into a no-holds-barred match for the championship. Rock was the champion. And what does Stone Cold do? He takes the chair that Vince McMahon himself gives him and starts pounding away at The Rock, starts hammering away at The Rock, starts laying in with chair shot after chair shot. And he must have hit him over 10 times in a row with that chair, okay? The referee counts 1, 2, 3. We crown a new WWF champion at the time. What do you see after that? You see Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon shaking hands. Paul Heyman was an announcer at that event. He said, we are witnessing something that people will be talking about for years to come. I said that was in 2001. No truer statement was ever made at that event than what Paul Heyman said. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I think that is like the biggest double turn in WWF history, in wrestling history. Aside from maybe Hogan turning heel. That was unbelievable, man. It really was. He goes on a crazy path during the post-Attitude Era. He comes back and, turns into this, like, guy that starts saying what to everybody, and just, I don't know. People still liked it, though. They did. And, you know, he won the fans back with that. Originally, he was DM of Raw with Eric Bischoff, and then, you know, kind of did his own thing with that by himself. He had to retire, you know, a lot sooner than he wanted to. Steve Austin is a wrestler that will always be talked about, not even just for the Attitude Era. He is an unbelievable talent. I mean, you know, he puts on great matches. Don't twist it around. He is a good wrestler, too. He had an amazing wrestling career. You know, he still does the podcast and stuff like that. And, you know, definitely still makes appearances. I really do think this would be a very interesting match to see. These two guys, I really think they could put on a great match. Obviously, it'd be a great way for him to come back. It would be an unbelievable way for Stone Cold to come back to this match. If he were to come back to WrestleMania 32 to face Brock Lesnar, what else do you want? I mean, he's going to be in his home state of Texas. This would be unbelievable, man. It really would. Given even that those guys are a little bit older. You know, obviously Austin is older than Lesnar. I still think that they could put on a great match. I really think it would be a classic. We obviously know that, you know, Austin probably will not wrestle ever again. Just in that fact alone makes this a dream match. Aside from Lesnar obviously being booked to face Ambrose in that street fight. But I don't know, man. I really think it'd be a great match to see. Leave comments if you agree with me. If you think they should book that match. Leave comments about other WrestleMania 32 dream matches that you have. You know, stuff like that. I definitely appreciate that. Enjoy the road to WrestleMania. I'm going to get the fuck out of here, and I will see you when I see you.